All right, are we back? Goodness gracious, y'all! I am so sorry. Apparently I need to put a new internet provider on my list of things to make these live streams better because this has been a mess so far. I am terribly sorry about that, y'all. But we're back. We're back over here and we're going again with it. I don't know where it left off. I already talked about Energizer. I already talked about Bumblebits. Talked about Caldera 12. I guess I'll start from there again. Yeah, we only got like 20 minutes left to do this. Of course, Caldera 12 from Glenn Boxall, father of Brian Boxall, and this is a true mainstay of the sport. I would go ahead and pull up some of the posts I have from him, but really there hasn't been too much shared about this robot that really stands out as anything that you would expect to be different. It is pretty much a 12-pound version of BNS Robotics' own Caldera. Caldera did fantastic in the past few years. NHRL made back-to-back finals, if I do remember correctly. Was at the NHRL All-Star Championship. Looked great there. Even managed to defeat its Glenn Boxall's son's main robot, Fireball, in a fun exhibition that retired Fireball pretty much. Retired both these robots, actually. We know that the current version of Caldera has been retired. We don't know what's going to go on with it. But, maybe maybe Glenn Boxall's moving over to the 12-pound class permanently, or maybe he has a new 3-pounder, or maybe a new Caldera for the 3-pound class. 2 Calderas at once, I don't know. Usually you do miss Caldera at these new bots events, but not this time around, though. We are going to see this robot compete at some point today against, let me just go ahead and take a peek here, against Crescent of all robots. That's going to be a really interesting robot to talk about. But before we get to Crescent, because I do want to chat about Crescent, we also have Grim Ripper here, and this is a little bit of a biased pick for myself, if I do admit. Grim Ripper, it was a machine from last year, which I really felt bad for. I felt like it didn't get as much press as it should have, compared to some of the robots that, had whole videos about them and what have you. We didn't really get that for Grim Ripper, but I was such a fan of this design. It's rounded shape. The one you see here, like I wrote in the notes here, is pretty much an upscaled 3-pound version of a design, kind of like what the Glenn Boxall did with Caldera. In the 3-pound class, Grim Ripper certainly looked the part. Had a great family with great gear, great livery, fun weapon, very fun design. Never really made it on TV as much as I would have liked to see it. I only remember seeing it once or twice on the mainstreams last year. Maybe that can change in the 12-pound class. The robot that you see in the picture is the one that's going to be competing today. This isn't a mock-up picture like I got for Caldera. Only thing missing, according to the captain, is the livery on Grim Ripper, but it has that nostalgic rounded body. It reminds me a lot of Low Blow from the old BattleBots days. Big, solid, chunky undercutter, big, solid, chunky wheels. It's going to be hard to get a vertical spinner by it, or maybe even a horizontal spinner by it into that rounded plastic body. I have high hopes for it. I mean, maybe it won't make the finals this time around, or maybe it won't even make the bracket, but I really do hope we get to see a lot of this robot on our screen today. It's going to be fighting at 10:36 a.m. Eastern Time against bloodborne pathogens, so in about a little over an hour and a half, I would say. Expect that fight to take stage. It's kind of separated from other 12-pound class fights, so, maybe we will get a chance to see it on stream. I certainly would love to see it on stream. Let me make sure chat's back, and we are indeed going again. It looks like we are, so that's good. Hopefully you guys are still here with me. I am so sorry about the connection issues. That stuff is so frustrating. I really got to switch over to Vexus, I guess, this coming year. But let's go ahead and take a peek at some of these remaining bracket fights in the 12-pound class. Switching back over to our main overlay here.
Gracious, y'all. I am so
Not
sorry.
as many to look at, fortunately. We got
Apparently, I
Thunderbolts.
need to put a new
You would
internet
think
provider
that robot
on my
would be
list of things
part
to
of
make these
Team
live
Honey
streams
Crack, but
better
it's
because
not.
this
With
has been a mess so
their
far.
theming of robots and what have you. Lost my spot. There we are. Jesus. We also have Energizer versus Lactosaurus. I don't believe we know anything about Lactosaurus just yet. Let me go ahead and take to our Discord here. Type in Lactosaurus. Maybe I'm wrong when I say that we don't have anything about Lactosaurus yet. It's gonna be a solid machine. It's gonna be a meta monster, and Bubblebit's gonna have a proper test there. Maybe we won't see Bubblebits win round one. It might need to be a loser's run kind of robot. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Crescent is a robot I'm very excited to talk about, taking on Caldera 12, unfortunately. Crescent is, I shouldn't say we just talked about it because I did go on a hiatus, but Battle of Robots in Russia had a robot from Turkey, I believe. Lonely Wolf, that was the name. Lonely Wolf. It did super good. Made it all the way to the championship finals rounds, essentially, of the final 16, I should say, of Robots tournament. Very impressive. The second ever heavyweight to come out of Turkey, and it did solid. And now it looks like Turkey is really starting to make an impact here because Istanbul Combat Robotics has brought Crescent to the 12-pound class. It's confirmed to be there. It's going to be the first ever Turkish competitor in NHRL history. And this is a fun design. It is a crescent moon-shaped robot, just like the Turkish flag, with a vertical spinner on the front. So the true form of Blood Moon, I guess you could say. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Let me make sure I'm still live because I saw another worrisome notification pop up. I am still live. Let's go. Awesome. So hopefully everyone is still hearing me. If anyone is still left after the feed cut out earlier, I am so sorry about that, y'all. That was embarrassing. Other things happening here. Killer Whale is taking on Battletoads. I believe Battletoads is kind of similar to what we saw last year or the year before last with Jameson Goes Cluster Bots, Same Force and End Same. I believe this is like End Force and Same Force and End Same, except Same Force is still there, but he is now replaced with a mini Ribot. I saw that picture. I don't know if they're actually present and competing, but I would like to see that. Grim Ripper fighting Bloodborne Pathogen. Dr. Paw facing Plexi Crush. Super Hot Fire. I'll talk about that at the end of the stream versus Void. Questionable Choices versus Rager's Edge. ADD versus New Matador. A lot of fun fights there. Very excited. But we got to move on briskly here. 7:53. We had some delays. Let's talk about the 30-pound class, the featherweights. And we got a lot to chat about here because we have a lot of robots which have fought in the past, including 3 on your screen right now and 1 wild card, I would say. Big-time wild card. First off, my buddy Leatherface, big fan of the Combot Collective, has been gassing up this robot on the Discord server for NHRL very recently. Animosity from AG Robotics. This machine is apparently a 10-plus year veteran in the 15-pound Dogeweight class. It is a 2. Imagine this robot if you haven't seen footage of it, and maybe I can go ahead and pull up some really quick of Animosity because I remember a video was shared of it in action from Robot Ruckus. Yes, here we are. This will essentially provide a better example than I ever could. Get that feedback you're hearing through my headphones there. Go ahead and go. Well, I thought I went full screen. That's not really full screen, is it? That's full screen. And here, looking at this video here of Animosity in action, you can kind of make out what it is. The best way I can describe it is it'd be like a horizontal spinning uppercut, because as you can see, no matter how it bounces, it lands right back into a fighting position, ready to compete again. Even when it lands upside down like that, since the top self-riding arm is made out of TPU or HDPE, it can just rebound like that. It set that one poor drum bot on fire. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. Go ahead and get out of that real quick for y'all. Could be a solid robot. It is originally a 15-pound class machine, though, so seeing it compete in a 30-pound class means this is going to be a brand new build for the team. And since this is a 10-plus-year-old robot, maybe it's going to be old-school build techniques, old tactics, old strategies. Sometimes that works out. Sometimes that very much doesn't work out. I would not be surprised, though, if Animosity does qualify, given the less experienced field and some less experienced teams such as iRobotics from UIUC in Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, getting my C locations wrong here. Last year, I covered 3 of the classes that were competing there. Competition. I have higher hopes for it here. I could definitely see it qualifying out of the 3. One robot which I don't necessarily have high hopes for, but I want to see do good is Crack, which at the time was built by their freshman team. I guess they're all sophomores now. And Crack is a very, ambitious robot, very much shades of Sash Shatter with the long axe weapon and the Omni wheels up front. You can see those Omni wheels. One thing that they have that I don't remember them having when I was watching Robo Brawl, back in March and April last year was probably that big fuck-off plow wedge I'm seeing at the front of this thing. Look at that thing. Looks pretty sturdy. Looks like it can survive a couple hits from a robot like Animosity. But finally, as we continue to move briskly here, we have Bedside from apparently Clyde Magnuson. I don't know who let him in again. I don't know who keeps letting that guy in. He seems really unhinged. He makes me uncomfortable with, his antics, his absolute skullduggery. And he has a weird robot here. Look at this thing. I don't know if it walks. I don't know if it rolls. It has weird forms of local. To see what Chris DeSee, brother of Clyde Magnuson, has been up to lately. As we go over here, back to our main overlay. And see what we got going on here. Going on to Instagram. By the way, everybody, if you don't, follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube page if you're enjoying